Alright guys, welcome back. I'm working on getting some new headphones, so my mic, trying to adjust the volume. So right now we're on Peragus. We just started Peragus, finished the prologue. I think this one's I'm gonna go dark, but do pay in mind when you're playing this game, there are gonna be times where you're gonna have to do some light-sided actions just to be able to gain enough influence. So KOTOR 2 is unique from KOTOR 1, whereas you still get your companions just like KOTOR 1, but this time you gain influence, and instead of just getting additional quests and storylines, you can convert a majority of your companions to become a Jedi. And I'm going to go dark
Only
side
one
this
survivor,
time.
placed in the KOTOR tank for recovery. The carbon scoring on the vessel suggests it was in a battle, but no indication of who fired on it. Couldn't get much from the Nava computer. I'm surprised the ship was able to make it inside the Peragus asteroid field without the asteroid drift charts. Aside from the lone survivor, we recovered an old woman. No life signs. There was also a protocol droid and a utility droid on board. Sent both down to maintenance while security sorts through the other items on the ship. It looks like the utility droid, a T3 unit, was able to get the ship working enough to get to the colony. We're prepared to...
One thing that's important is,
but I'm more concerned that a Jedi here may cause trouble. Some of the miners, especially KOTOR, are already... Another accident today. A detonation in the ventilation tunnels. If the lockdown measures hadn't activated, the whole facility would have been destroyed. Got most of the injured to the KOTOR tanks in time, but the rest had to go to the morgue. One of the wounded said a droid caused the accident, but we couldn't get any specifics.
They are part of the storyline, and
there was a detonation in another one of the fuel vents the droids were working in.
Are sometimes required to unlock certain
we're still treating the plasma burns. That
conversation options and unlock openings
we may not
in
make
the
the kilo
quest.
shipment
So
for this month. Fortunately, the
it
detonation
is
didn't
important
cause
to
a
actually
lockdown.
go through
Warning.
and
There has
at
been
least
a fuel
start them. You can
detonation
click through
in the
most of
mining
these pretty
tunnels.
quick.
Emergency
Especially if this
commencing.
isn't your first playthrough.
All personnel report to quarters and prepare for emergency venting countermeasures.
No! If the ventilation systems are malfunctioning...
And this kind of
Evacuate the
gives you
medical bay.
an
Everyone
idea of what is starting to give you the story of what has happened on Peragus II. We figured out that there's been a lethal dose of sedatives administered to all the tanks, including mine, but there's no record of who did it. I don't have any computer spikes to go ahead and follow through that chat box. Unlock these doors. Couple med kits. What else? We got some chemicals. Chemicals are used in the lab stations. I may get into that a little bit farther, but your treat injury and other skills are used to craft items in both the lab station and the workbench that I'll show you later. And they can be very useful for implants and upgrades to weapons. Sometimes the game will glitch out, and instead of giving you a voiceover where they talk, it'll quickly just skip for you. As you can kind of see here, as soon as I click, it kind of just skips. Your stance, your walk tells me you are a Jedi. Your walk is heavy. You carry something that weighs you down. So it would seem, keep your past and let us focus on now. So why do we need to leave? We were attacked once, and I fear our attackers will not give up the hunt so easily. Without transport, weapons, and information, they will find us easy prey indeed. anytime a chat option comes up that's based off one of your stats, I always recommend you use that. And if there's more than one, then you should look at it, because as you can see, persuade, intimidate, there's clearly one that would probably be dark side. However, I do want to try to gain influence with Kreia, so I went with the more light side on this mode. Kreia is already a Jedi. If you gain enough influence with her, you unlock chat options that will enable you to increase a couple of your primary stats, and also you gain some new abilities that we'll go through later on if I can unlock them with enough influence, as well as you max her influence out, you basically get the entire backstory for the whole game. Plasma torch is pretty useful. It's not I don't find it to be a very good weapon, but it and lightsabers are one-time hits. If they make impact, they will open a locked door or a locked box with one hit. So it can be very useful. But just again, pick up a new weapon. Got the vibro sword off there. So this is a Consular. So Consulars are a little different than the Guardians. Well, they're a lot different than the Guardians and the Sentinels. Consulars focus on their force powers. So a Consular build can be a difficult playthrough in the beginning of the game. Once you get to a certain part, so once you're off your first planet, or towards the end of your first planet, after Peragus and Telos, you will be essentially unstoppable. But that goes for nearly every build. The real limitation early on game for Consulars is that you have a small force pool. And in this case, we have no force pool until later in the game. Not much later. The Sentinels are a mix. Just like in the lore of the Jedi, a Sentinel doesn't focus on use of the lightsaber, and as you can see, I hit it once, didn't open it, hit it again, boom, instant open. Sentinels focus on balance between using force powers and the lightsaber, whereas Guardians focus on using the lightsaber vice force.
Especially you, KOTOR. Listen up, because I'm not going to say this again. The next one of
So
you
we'll get a little
Juma-heads
bit
to
more
try and
backstory
smuggle
of
a
what happened in
blaster or
Peragus.
so help me any sort of military-grade frag weapons into my facility is going to take a long walk out the airlock. Why? Because in case you forgot, Peragian fuel
Seems like they
explodes
have a
at
little
high
problem with
temperatures.
people bringing
That's what
blasters
blasted that
in,
chunk
which
out
would
of
make sense
Peragus
since
II and created
Peragus
this
2 is
asteroid
actually
field. So if I
just
catch
one
any of
big
you with
fuel
anything other than sonic charges or
asteroid field.
mining lasers, I'll
All
burn
the
you
asteroids
and
are
your
filled
contract.
with explosive
Security
fuel,
out.
so naturally a blaster would be
And according to one of the
pretty
miners, it
dangerous.
was because one of the sonic charges went off prematurely. And like before,
Unless
it was
you
one
shoot like
set
Han
by a
Solo,
mining
who
droid.
shot first.
The three idiots were grouped so close to the charge, it might as well have been a grenade going off. The blast turned their bones to dust. The blast wrecked the internal components of the droid that set the charge, though, so we can't even dissect it to see what happened. I don't like what's going on here. Ever since that Jedi showed up, things are getting worse. It's not just KOTOR and his miners, or the fights, but now the droids are acting crazy. If we don't find what's causing this, or who, this facility is going to be space dust by the time the next Telos freighter arrives.
Sir, I don't know. It's like their behavior cores are undergoing binary decay, but I can't find the source. This shouldn't be happening.
Well, that's reassuring. It isn't happening. So the next time we nearly have a breach in the ventilation tunnels, I could just close my eyes and pretend it's my imagination. You better give me some answers. I want to know the damage these droids can do if they start mining us instead of asteroid rock.
Sir, these droids aren't combat models. Their mining lasers are weaker and less accurate than blasters. I doubt those droids could even hit one of us.
Are you blind? What about the miners in medbay? It's sabotage, and it started right after the commander said we weren't going to sell the Jedi to the exchange. So I want you to find out how these droids are being sabotaged. That'll tell me who's trying to clear a path to get that Jedi off the facility, and stop him. In the meantime, make sure the security's armed with all the ion and sonic charges you can find.
It has something
if those
to
droids
do
start
with
coming
me.
after me, I'm gonna need more than low-grade mining lasers to take them down. Clear?
Yes, sir. Maintenance control out.
Idiot.
A little bit of
I
hostilities between
installed an
those two.
override switch to shut down any droids on this level, just in case someone locks me out of the administration console. As added insurance, I tied the override switch into the circuit to the holding cell door.
So, like I
Make
said
sure it
before,
can
some of
only
these
be
may
opened
seem
if
pointless.
all droids in the level are shut down.
However,
I doubt
this right
KOTOR
here
or any of his men
explains
have the skill to pull
how
off
you
something
would,
like this.
what you would need to
But
do
I'm
to
not
even
taking
be
any
able to
chances while we're sitting
continue
in the middle of this
in this
asteroid
level.
minefield. Whoever's responsible won't be able to have the droids rescue him after I lock him up. Nothing will cut through that door. He'll be trapped. I secured the stealth field generator inside one of the footlockers in the security storage room. If I have the specs right, the interface field should be effective against the droid sensors.
So this
all I need to do is equip the belt
is
and
giving you
some
details
skill
on the
with
stealth
in order to
generator.
use it. As long as
I've
I
never
don't
been
get too
one to
close
really
the
use them.
droids, they
I
shouldn't
find it
detect
kind of
me.
pointless
If any more
because
droids
after a
start
certain point,
malfunctioning, the belt
you
should buy
are
me
so
enough
strong
time
that
to get
nothing
to
really
the
stands
override
up against
switch I
you,
set up
so
in the communication
stealth isn't
blister
necessary.
console. I'd rather
But
shut them
there's
down than
a-
destroy them. I want to
Another
find out how
unique
these droids
part
are
to
being
KOTOR 2 is
sabotaged, and maybe
prestige
even turn
classes.
them
So
against
you've
whoever's
got one
sabotaging
that matches up with each class. You've got the Guardian, the Consular, and the Sentinel, and then you have the Jedi, Watchman, Master, and can't really remember the other one right now. And then you have Sith Lord, and you have the dark side equivalents. And if you use Sentinel and you go dark side and use the prestige class for Sentinel, you actually become you gain the ability to go stealth
but the
with the
small
Force.
oscillations of energy that you can feel echoing.
So anytime
outwards.
you get that little feeling in the screen where you get the echo, just like it said right there, you gain passive precognition. It's very wise to save the game. But I can make quick work with these with a quick
You hear it.
ion
It is
grenade.
faint, but it is there.
And like I said, it's not much
It
farther.
is the Force. You feel it has not been
We
so
gain our
long
first
for you to
level
forget.
as and opens up our first level that opens up the Force.
Do not turn away from it. Listen. Feel it echoing within
Now I always
Come.
want to go
I shall guide
heavy
you
in
down
charisma
familiar paths.
as one of my
You
base
will need
stats
it if we
because
are to
charisma
survive and
enables you to
escape this
use
place.
opposite alignment force powers at less of a cost. So if you're light side and you're using dark side like lightning, it'll cost a lot more unless your charisma is high. And the same as if you're dark side and you use a light side like heal or destroy droids, as you level up, it's going to cost more. If your charisma's up high, it's not going to be that bad. Now, I recommend you ignore stealth. Awareness is important. Treat injury. You need treat injury later on for a couple, like you saw earlier in this video. You'll need treat injury to unlock certain chat options, but I recommend repair and computer, and I actually take feats to open up those so that I can later on do it cheaper, because anytime you train a skill that is not a base skill for your class, it costs 2 skill points to price 1. So there's always a feat you can take that will open it up. Now, light or dark, I always go for lightning. And that's why I have my high charisma, because lightning is because most dark side powers are the ones that do damage. Most light side powers boost your stats or heal you. So lightning is one of the stronger offensive powers that you can use against any enemy, regardless if it's droid or human. Now, Drain Life does a lot of damage, so I will probably be getting Drain Life later on as I'm dark side, so Drain Life can actually heal you and do damage. Now, like we said before, we have to make sure all the droids are dead, so come get some emergency supplies. Come look down here, medpack, which is always useful. There's another droid. Wouldn't have been able to deactivate the shield with this up. Now, what does this is one of the reasons why it's difficult to play Consular early on in the game, because you don't have a big force pool. So as you're using your force powers, you quickly lose them, and you have to resort to your melee weapons, which you don't have high stats as a Consular in strength. Strength's what affects how well you hit. So with that low stat, it makes it hard to hit, makes the matches last a little bit longer, gives you more damage over time. However, you get to the point later in the game where they don't even have a chance to hit you. So this is where we pick up our second companion. There's unique chats as a female character and as a male character for him, for a majority of it. Now, if you have a KOTOR 1 completion save,
the ones that weren't killed in the Jedi Civil War ended up switching off the lightsabers long ago. Word is there's not even a Jedi Council anymore, but who knows?
And some of this will not be an option. So what's happening right now is...
Yeah, Revan, Malak, and the Jedi that went to join them in the Mandalorian Wars. They turned against the other Jedi and had a scrap that almost laid waste to the galaxy.
Storyline.
Where have you been?
For what happened.
Well, I wasn't there, but like all Sith, Revan and Malak turned on each other.
If I
after
remember
they turned
correctly,
on the Jedi, of course.
Because I don't have a KOTOR 1 playthrough on this device, is you get an option when you start the game, when you start to build your character to
that was the story. But whatever happened there must not have lasted. There's some big civil war on Korriban. Knocked that academy to the ground. Looks like Revan's Grand Crusade finally consumed her.
Just filling you in on the story. But you can pick whether Revan was a man or woman, stayed dark, stayed light.
When she became a Sith Lord, she sure didn't stop. She killed her way
Jedi.
Across half the galaxy. Dark Jedi are bad enough. But when a woman falls to the dark side, you better space yourself before they catch you.
No
offense or anything. Look, not like your half-naked interrogation isn't a personal fantasy of mine, but... Hey, wait a minute. You're that Jedi the miners were talking about. Where is everybody? Well, the miners can't all be gone. But if they are... Look, hey, let me out and I can help you. I can. I've gotten out of trouble countless times. This facility isn't a military installation, which means we may have a chance. You shut down the cell security field, and I can reroute the emergency system so we can get to the hangars. We'll grab a ship, and then we fly out of here.
With their chat options that will...
Huh? What are you talking about?
Just the chat boxes as we go through what planet we're on, and kind of the locations, so that you can just see quickly.
Great. Now to
where
business.
You need to go.
Let's get to the command
console.
console.
What you need to say to boost the influence enough to convert them into Jedis. In all reality, majority of your companions, you can max their influence.
All right, here we are.
On the
now, this console is set on automatic hail. You may have heard it when you came in. The asteroid drift charts are constantly being updated. So it sends out a transmission to incoming vessels so they don't get crushed into space dust. The hail warns them to keep their distance until orbital drift charts are transmitted, and then provides docking instructions to incoming ships, usually freighters.
There's arguments that he is a better...
that same transmission back to the comm here. And suddenly you've got access to the communication system from the inside.
Jedi,
Pure pizzazz. Console's ours.
However,
now all we need to do is reactivate the turbo
any of
lifts,
your
cancel the
companions
emergency
becoming a Jedi
lockdown.
makes them live longer and is useful. But Atten here
this system's
can
been
unlock
severed from
some
the main hub
unique
after it
abilities
was locked down
and
from remote.
becomes a Jedi.
You can't even
as well.
reroute the system. It's been cut
When you
clean.
do convert your companions based on what's light or dark,
someone tried to lock
opens
down
up
this
a
whole
separate
level tight
chat,
and leave us here.
or they have
Trapped.
different chats to convert them, and you actually convert them to either a light side or dark side Jedi, depending on what you want.
We could try.
So once you have
the miners were trying to trap
and
you,
once you have enough
kill you, why not call them and chat?
Influence with them
I
to
don't think a
convert
friendly
them,
call is going
and
to
you
wake them
convert
up.
them to Jedis, it doesn't really matter what you do and how you behave.
Be my guest. Not much else we can do. The comms
So
all
I'm over
yours.
here. I'm attempting to try to gain some influence. Didn't gain any influence and gained light side instead, but that's all right. We're in the very beginning of the game.
Tracked the freighter in.
Plenty of time
It was lucky
to
it wasn't
go
destroyed
down.
when it drifted into the asteroid field. Not much on board. One damaged droid, one annoying protocol droid, and a lot of bodies. Sent the survivor to medical and the others to the morgue. Didn't recognize the ship's ID code, so we transmitted it to the Republic for some answers. Questioned the protocol droid about what happened. Says his master, the survivor, I guess, was on the Republic ship the Harbinger when it suffered an engine failure. He says the survivor was a passenger on the vessel and a Jedi. If so, that's gonna mean true. Inventoried the bodies and cargo. Everything matches the protocol droid's story. The T3 droid had seized up, so he left it in storage and standby mode. Don't know what code will access.
So here's where we learn what happens to T3 and the other protocol droid. If you watch the prologue, go back and watch it. If you haven't, you'll see that there's two protocol droids on your ship, and one of them gets pretty damaged, and you have to repair him, and he helps you out. But this explains that he clearly was too damaged.
to get the Republic records on the Jedi, but nobody will know word from the Republic. But I've sent out a broadcom transmission for records on this Ebon Hawk. One of the miners said it used to be a smuggling vessel. Accidents are making the miners restless. The droid behavior course must be undergoing some kind of binary decay. 2 miners were drilled by a droid's mining laser, and those blasts in the ventilation tunnels nearly caused the whole facility to blow.
2 damage. By 2 damage, I mean 2 damage to be of use in the main story. He's only there for prologue to teach you how to switch between companions and how you can work with companions. So to gain influence with R2, if it is R2, but to gain influence with your droid, he needs to be encouraged. You have to side with him any chance you get and encourage him and be thankful for him and everything he does, and you will gain influence with him. At that, we'll call that. So don't forget to like, go ahead and share this, and subscribe for more videos. Like I said, I will be putting more jump cuts in here, so stay tuned.